Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Jermaine Rivers of The Gifted, a.k.a. Shatter, and I'm hanging out with your boy Galaxy on Comic-Con Radio. Yeah.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Galaxy signing in for Comic-Con Radio. Coverage of pop culture events from around the globe. Amazing interviews with celebrities. Daily recaps and reviews of popular television. The Walking Dead. Z Nation. Van Helsing. DC Titans. Flash. The Legends of Tomorrow. Black Lightning. American Horror Story. The Green Arrow. Movie reviews. Everything Comic-Con and fandom from around the globe. Comic-Con Radio. Get ready to enter our universe. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is your boy Galaxy signing in on Comic-Con Radio. Today, we have an amazing guest. Every day we have an amazing guest. They're all amazing, right? Positive energy and all that. But today we have an amazing guest from a Marvel hit TV show called The Gifted. He's a recurring actor, one of your favorites. It's Shatter, and he goes by Jermaine Rivers. What's up, Jermaine? How you doing, man? Thank you for coming on the show.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
Cool. Thank you so much. You know, Jermaine, when the producer said we're going to have Jermaine Rivers on the show, I was like, that's Shatter on Marvel's The Gifted. We normally have a lot of DC TV show characters on, and having a Marvel TV show character is great. So, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me on the show, man.
You're based in the East Coast.
Right, based out of Atlanta.
How is the weather there right now?
It's looking real muggy. We don't get the conventional winter with the snow and everything that you'll see in New York and up north. But right now it's about 60 degrees and it's rainy. It's very muggy. But I'll take that over snow.
Happy New Year, by the way. I forgot to tell you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. I'm looking forward. It's a lot of stuff that's in the pipe. So 2019 is going to be a really good year.
That's amazing. 2018, I spoke to a lot of people. There was ups and downs and good and not, but everybody's excited about 2019. They just feel it's going to be an amazing year. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, absolutely. And for me personally, 2018 was a really good year for myself. I mean, I got married. I married the woman of my dreams, my best friend. So that was great. We had a lot of good things that came out that I was in. Den of Thieves, got to do another episode of MacGyver. I'm one of the Coltons on MacGyver. And then The Gifted. So 2018 was a really good year. I can't complain.
That's amazing, and that's so good to hear. And yes, on MacGyver, you're Frank Colton. You're one of the Colton members. That's a cool family right there. They're straightforward. It was fun. They were introduced about a season or so ago, right? And then you guys just kept coming back and making your appearances, and you guys are very helpful to MacGyver.
Yeah, man. Kind of picked up where we left off from the original show where the Colton family consisted of Della Reese, Cuba Gooding Jr., Cleavon Little. It was an honor just to reprise a role, a very popular and iconic show. So the chemistry that we have in the reboot, it's amazing. You couldn't ask to work with a great group of guys, Lucas, Till, George Eads, Tristan Mays. The list goes on. They got a great cast. So it was a pleasure and honor to get to work with those guys.
That's really great to hear. Yeah, it was an amazing cast. And a lot of stars, A-listers, are working on TV shows now. And you see these up-and-coming actors with these huge A-listers working together. And you can't tell who's the superstar and who's the megastar. It's just like equal. And it's amazing to see that because it gives more opportunity. And it's great to see that because television is so different these days. It's bigger than movies sometimes, and I prefer TV over movies lots of the times. You're also on a TV show called Devious Maids. You stood out in that show because I remember you were Officer Carter on that show. How did that work out? Was that pretty nice to work on?
Yeah, that was fun, man. It was really fun, and I had a feeling that was going to really evolve my character. Unfortunately, they got cut off. They didn't get picked up for season 4, but I had so much fun working with that cast and just being part of the show. That was like one of my first recurring roles on a TV show. So just to caveat what you said, TV, you can really make your career and transition into big budget films, from TV. And like right now, you look at shows like Game of Thrones and The Walking Dead, their budgets is is ridiculous. $3 million episodes. So in terms of quality and production value, TV is very competitive. So I'm in a good place. Actually working with good people, great producers and directors and stuff. So it's a joy.
That's amazing to hear. And by the way, I forgot to say congratulations on getting married. I know you mentioned it. You married the love of your life. Is she an actress?
No, she's not in the business. And I think that's good because I can come home and, just kind of tell her how my day is. Or she'll tell me how her day is. And we're not always talking about acting. We can just be, just two people just dealing with day-to-day things, outside of my work. So it's a good trade-off. It's always good to have somebody who's supportive and ground you at the end of the day. So that way, that, you can have a release and someone to turn to. So I'm very fortunate to have gotten married and married, like I said, my best friend, someone who can share in the success. And also I can support her in what she's doing. So it's good stuff, man. I'm happy.
That's really great to hear. And, a lot of people don't know that you were born in Italy and that you were in the military for like almost 2 decades. And I think that's where a lot of your grounding and things like that come from, because look at this. People are like, oh, I want to be an actress. I want to be an actor. How can I do this? And look, you were in the military for so many years and then you went to acting. While you were in the military, were you itching to become an actor? How did you want to become an actor? Like, what made you get to that?
It was an accidental blessing. And there's no such thing as a coincidence. I've always had a penchant for performing, whether it be music, whether it be doing improv. So it was always there. But yeah, I did 20 years, man. I did 20 years, 5 deployments, combat tours to Iraq, Afghanistan. I had a wealth of experiences being in the military, and basically it just gave me a well to draw from when it comes to bringing a character to life. Because a lot of things I've noticed, and I'm not knocking anybody because your path is your path, is that especially like it's hard for a child actor to grow up in this business and not really have any life experiences, whether it be high school, being rejected, not going to prom, things of that nature. So to my benefit, I think my path, in my military service is what makes me such a strong actor, because I have a well to draw from. I don't have to think too hard when it comes to digging deep into my experiences to find truth. So that was the thing. And it was just like I was at the right place at the right time with the right skill set. And the most important component, the courage to say, you know what, if they think I can do it, I know I can do it. Let me go ahead and try. But make sure that, I'm taking the right classes. I'm getting the right headshots. I'm capturing the things I need to capture so I can start strong and just keep working at it. I'm blessed to have done 20 years in the military and to have served in earnest, admirably, and do something that I love even more, and that is acting. So, yeah, man.
Well, we thank you for your service. You're a true American G.I. Joe. When you started acting, which was that first role? Like you said, it was a coincidence. What was that role? Like, what happened?
My first role that I booked, the real role, it was a national spot commercial for Credit Karma, the F word spot. And, prior to that, I was doing all the things that all actors are supposed to do. I mean, you're doing your acting workshops, you're grinding out, you're doing your wood carving. But when I first booked that one role and I was on set, and I was like, yeah, I can do this. And then the next thing after that, I booked a role on a feature film with Danny Glover and Richard Dreyfuss called Killing Winston Jones. And I think that was like in 2012. So once I got that itch, it just went from there. And mind you, I was still on active duty. I didn't exit the military until 2013. But by the time I made that transition back to a civilian, I had already had multiple credits under my belt. So it was a nice, smooth transition.
Like you said, it's not a coincidence, but it is a little bit of planning.
Right.
How did it feel just jumping from giving service to the country and then right into the big screen? Isn't that kind of weird? It's so crazy. Like you just went from such a different thing, like the military, hardcore, 20 years is a long time. And all of a sudden in the big screen and you're playing a Marvel character. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. First of all, I have to give glory to God because, it could have went several different ways. And I remember, I prayed specifically even before I got out the military. June 21st, 2009, I was stationed at Bagram Air Force Base in Afghanistan. It was around, pretty much all day we were being prepped for a fallen comrade ceremony. We knew that at some point of that day, we was going to have to line up and render final honors to our fallen comrades. That particular day, we ended up being attacked. We got attacked pretty bad on the compound. We lost like 6 people, 6 KIA, and 20 injured. And at the end of this attack, I kind of went off to myself after, I took care of my soldiers, did everything that soldiers do after you come under attack. Being a senior leader, I had my responsibilities after that. So I went off and I kind of counted my blessings and prayed. And I was like, I'm thankful for what I do. This is very relevant. Never had fear in my heart of serving, especially in combat. I mean, it is what it is. It's what you do. But at the end of it, I was like, God, my next job, my next career, let me do something where I can create. Let me do something where I can kind of create. Because unfortunately, in a profession of arms, there is that constant element of danger, especially when you're deployed. So I think that day, that prayer led to where I am right now. Incrementally, everything just lined up. And the rest is history. So to anybody out there who's desiring to do what I do, don't listen to the naysayers who will tell you you're too old, you're too young, you're too skinny, you're too fat, you're too short. If you want it, go out there and get it. Be prepared to do the work, and you can have it. And it's a blessing. So it all came at its right appointed time, at a point in my life to where I could really accept it and benefit from it. And voila. So I'll end on that note.
That's a great story. That's why I was so excited to speak with you, because you're not just an actor from a TV show and I get to chat with you about why you like the role or this or that, or you grew up in Hollywood Hills and all those stuff. No, you actually lived a very full life, but full in the meaning of served military, went on tours, actually fought, got attacked. You could have gotten killed at any time. And then at the same time, you were an actor overlapping. And you had to go from being a G.I. Joe to, hey, breathe out. I'm an artist. I'm going to play this role and just act like nothing else matters in this world. And to do those two at the same time, you got to get a lot of credit. And that's why, like you said, God is helping you. You have some great roles. You starred with Al Pacino, Carl Urban, your latest movie with Gerard Butler and 50 Cent. How was it meeting these people for the first time and working with them?
Well, I have never been the guy to be starstruck, but I will tell you this. Working with Al Pacino was a blessing. Number one, this guy, I would watch his films. I would watch his movie, like the Godfather trilogy. That was like my Saturday evening. I would sit down and I would just binge watch those movies that he's done, because he's always given such great grounded performances. And then when I booked this role on the film and realized I was doing scenes with him, it was a real moment. But at the end of the day, he's a colleague. So you work, do your scenes, you come in prepared. And in the interim, when the camera's not rolling, and just to talk, Mr. Pacino was very giving. He would sit and talk with me and Carl and Brittany Snow. She was one of the lead actresses, and just talk about the craft of acting and expectations versus reality and mindset. And I think at that level, with the pedigree, that's what you should do. So I always go back to that thing, like if you're in an elevator, that 15-second elevator ride, and the lead of your industry, or let's just say if I'm a computer guy and I'm in an elevator with Bill Gates, what are we talking about? What's the conversation? And if you walk out of that elevator and you don't have any kind of gems mentally to take with you to help you in your craft, you did yourself a disservice. So while I work with, Al Pacino and any other person who's done it longer than me, I always kind of have a moment where I just sit down and say, hey, look, Tell me something that will suit me, will help me. And if what you're saying to me is something that I'm already doing, then I know I'm on the right track. So that was the experience going into that movie. And the same thing with working with Gerard Butler, 50 Cent on Den of Thieves. I mean, we had a great cast. Also, one of my favorite actors from The Young and the Restless, who plays Victor Newman. His name escaped me, forgive me. But it's the same thing, it's just a bunch of artists getting together, colleagues that exchange information and then having a great time while you're filming. So you can't ask for a better opportunity.
And I know in a lot of your roles you played like as an officer. They probably know you have that experience. Would you ever work in a military movie? Would you ever do any of those?
Yeah, I definitely would, because the thing that I've come to realize that it's life. No matter what profession that you have or, what your job is, at the end of the day, you're a human. And you have your human experiences that you go through, your emotional experiences that you go through, dealing with people, your relationships. So it's all the same thing. It would be easy for me to play a military role, and I welcome it with open arms. But I want to be challenged. I want to do something that scares me. I want the roles that I want to do. I want to do something that's really going to stretch me and challenge me. I think it would be an easy cop-out for me to play a soldier because it's just so familiar. And I think I would probably be more of a hindrance to the director if they didn't have any experience or if they didn't have somebody on set to be kind of like the guy that they kind of turn to, their advisors and whatnot, because it's easy to fall back into that mode, So I really want to do something that's going to push and stretch me, that scares me. And that is the thing that keeps me growing in this profession that I love. So, yeah, man, we'll see. We'll see if that happens.
Well, if a TV show like that happens or a movie like that happens, they would save a lot of money by hiring you because you could be the advisor and the main actor. So there you go.
Exactly.
So if anybody's listening to this out there, our fans, and we pretty stretch out pretty far, but if they're listening, hey, you get a 2-for-1 with him here. You were born in Italy because your dad was stationed there.
Right.
You moved to the United States after. Where did you grow up?
Oh, I pretty much grew up around the world. Like you said, my father was stationed in Italy, and when I was born, and we lived there until I think I was like 2 or 3 years old, moved to the States. And from there, we just kind of bounced around, like typical 2 to 3 years, Texas, South Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee. So I had the benefit of kind of moving around various states and also abroad, like Germany. I spent a number of years in Germany. So I had the benefit of moving around as an Army brat that really opened my eyes to the world, giving me a nice reference point outside of the norm. If you just grew up, and there's nothing wrong with that. I wish I did grew up in the same town, dealing with the same people, but I had the benefit of moving around and getting a wider view of the world.
Not a lot of people can say that. And by traveling to different cities and learning different things, I know to some it might seem like a hassle, but it's also, it's a hassle when you're a kid. You're like, oh my God, I'm not, my friends, this and that. But when you're older, you're like, wow, that has taught me so much. It's changed everything for me. And it's so amazing. And that's really great to hear. Now, when you got your role on The Gifted as a recurring role, who was the first person you told that to?
First person I told that to? I told my mom, man.
That's good.
I told my mom instantly. I was like, because, the funny thing about it was I didn't know I was auditioning for a Marvel show. I didn't know. Everything was real super secretive, hush, hush. When I went into for the actual callback, and it was with one of the producers, actually 2 of the producers, and the director. And, they just put me through my paces. And after it was all said and done, it was like, can we tell them? I was like, yeah, tell me. And it was like, yeah, well, this is for Marvel. This is for a show called The Gifted. Keep it on the wraps. And, it was a surreal moment because I grew up collecting comic books. I was that kid that would like collect comic books, run after run, DC, Marvel, you name it. I was that guy. So to have the opportunity to audition, let alone to book a role, it was just an amazing moment.
Did you know when you first went in there and they said, hey, you got the role, it was a recurring role, or did you think it was just for an episode?
I thought it was just 4 episodes, to be honest. And I thought it was maybe 1, 2. And I think initially they won't admit it. Well, they probably, if I asked Matt, hey, was Shatter supposed to be, 12 episodes in? I think that the fans, number one, they responded. They kind of perked up when they saw a mutant Shatter. So they got a really good reaction. And then I think whatever I bought into the character, because when I read them, even in the audition, they use like fake audition sides, so you just don't know. Just the way they was writing him, the subtext, it was something about him where he had a silent strength. He was stoic. He was more like a reluctant hero. So when I auditioned, I was like, you know what? Instead of trying to play this guy super tough, let me play him just more like under the surface, reluctant kind of guy. Just like he can handle himself, but he'll exhaust every means before things get real. So, I kept that in mind, and I wanted to play more to his vulnerabilities and his insecurities. Once I figured out who the character was, I went straight to work, bought every comic book that I could buy dealing with my character and any situation that he's been in. I was like, well, let me just do it. Because I knew I was going to be setting the precedent playing his character. Whether they use him again or not, who knows? But I just wanted to make sure that I did him justice. I even reached out to the creators, Geoff Johns and Sean Martinbrough, who created the character. And Sean Martinbrough, he was very gracious in giving me insight on the character and just like the mythos behind him. Like, okay, what makes this guy tick from your point of view? Because this is what I can glean, and this is what I'm creating. That way, there's nothing inconsistent. So, once I found out who he was and what universe he belonged to, I went to work. My primary objective was doing that character justice and making something, whether it would be big, small, 1 episode, 2 episodes, whatever, give something that will resonate to somebody. And hopefully I did that. I think I did a pretty good job at it.
You did great. You showed the softer side because the guy Shattered is a very strong character. He crystallizes things. The second he touches something, they break into these like little crystal blocks. And I know they mentioned in one of the episodes that, Shatter became the leader of the mutant underground in another city. Those are little Easter eggs and things like that if you really pay attention to the show. Some people think that Shattered got deceased. Some people think he's leading the underground. We don't know, right? Because it just left off.
Yeah, and at the end of season 1, the big split when the mutant underground split off, and Polaris, and she took a number of the mutants from the mutant underground to the inner circle. We didn't know what Shatter's fate was. We knew that he stayed with the mutant underground, and only until episode 6 in the second season did we really find out that I took on the mantle of leader for my own mutant underground way station
in Baltimore, right?
which surprised me because in the final episode when we were kind of doing like the sit around, we was talking, and I was like, it really doesn't matter what we do because whatever we build, the Sentinel Service is going to find us and they're going to destroy it again. So I had more of a pessimistic view leaving season 1, but I'm glad that my character evolved to having his own way station and taking on a more leadership role. So for those who haven't seen that episode yet, episode 6 of season 2, you'll see me in a more leadership role. And then it gets a little bit interesting. And I don't want to do any spoilers for those who haven't seen it, but we'll see what happens going into season 3 if the show is renewed. But it was an absolute joy playing that character, bringing that character to life, peeling away some of the layers of his psyche and playing it out on screen. So we'll see what happens.
It's going to get renewed. The show's going to get renewed. It's a great show. Here's the thing. I'm going to be honest with you, so don't be upset at me, okay? Everybody gets upset at me sometimes. I love DC television shows. They're my favorite. The Arrow and Flash and the DC Titans and all that. But I love Marvel movies. Your TV show is my first Marvel show that I really like a lot. It's comparable, or if not better, because you guys use drama and action, and that's a good television show. And you have all these diverse characters like yourself with all these different backgrounds that create the character. Like, yeah, you're playing Shatter, but I think it's your experience in life and history, all that. It kind of comes through the character because these writers, they're really smart. They initially write the character for the show, but then they write with the actor's kind of personality in the character. Do you agree with me?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I would take it a step further by saying that I agree with you. You know, a lot of the DC shows, they're really good because the writers are taking their time to really build the characters. You have to build the characters. You got to get people to care about the characters. And I think they've done an excellent job with Arrow. They've done a great job with Flash, and that's probably one of my favorite DC shows. So it's consistent, I think, with The Gifted, where the focus really is trying to balance the scale in terms of building the characters. When you have such an ensemble cast, it's kind of hard to say, okay, you know, we don't want to lose anybody, so we're going to have to do both. Keep you entertained and tell stories and also build characters. So we'll see how it evolves towards the end of this season, going into, hopefully, fingers crossed, season 3. But I think the writers are doing a great job with The Gifted so far, and they have their work cut out for them, especially when you're dealing with an ensemble cast. It's a lot of people who have a lot of stories to be told. Like the 715 event, which kind of set things on its head, and the Gifted universe, that's the culminating event that caused mutants to really be persecuted by the government. So I think hopefully in season 3, they'll kind of circle back to that and fill in some gaps on characters and introduce more compelling villains that they have to deal with. But we'll see. That's just me. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
See. I know you guys can't say anything. I try to always squeeze it out of everybody I talk to, but I know you guys got to keep some things a secret, and you can't share everything because it's a spoiler to some. To some, it's an Easter egg. To some, it's just their life. And you're right about character development. Marvel does that really great with their movies, and DC does that amazing with their TV shows. Do you feel that The Gifted portrays how life is here? I know we don't have mutants or stuff like that, but do you think it takes from current things happening in the country?
Absolutely. They're drawing a very distinct parallel to the climate of today's society, the climate of tolerance, or decline thereof tolerance. So the writers, they're very crafty in helping to tell a story and placing a mirror in front of the audience saying, okay, this show basically is a mirror image of what's going on out there in the world that we live in today. So they're doing a very good job at drawing a really clear parallel. And for example, the thing that I was very conscious about with my character, the symbolism about Shatter, is a character who is a diehard in the world mutant physically. He can't go out into the world because of his appearance. And a lot of times people get judged by their appearances and not knowing what they have to contribute. They can make great contributions, but based off the color of their skin or their physical appearance, maybe they're a little heavier than most, the status quo, they get ostracized or they get marginalized. So I think historically, Marvel has always been a champion of drawing those parallels from the comic books to the world that we live in. Jack Kirby, Stan Lee, they were advocates of inclusion. Even back in the 60s, which it was at that time, it wasn't very popular to talk like that, let alone to write comics. But they managed to squeeze it in, and it shaped the generation. So I hope and pray that we're doing that with The Gifted.
Do you think your character is kind of like you? Because here's the thing. You go to these different countries and you're fighting a war. Either it's against terror or whatever it is, right? You're following your duties. You have to do what you have to do. And you have to have a lot of tolerance because your brothers at arms, your best friends, they're dying, they're getting killed, but you still have to be tolerant and you still have to be focused. Right. Do you feel that you and Shatter kind of are the same in personalities?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I infused so much of my DNA into that character, and I've taken on so much of his DNA inside of me. And because As an actor, it's my job to love my character, whether he's a good guy or a bad guy. I have to validate the reason why he is and why he thinks. So with a character as dynamic as Shatter, it was easy for me to kind of step in his shoes because in some shape, form, or fashion, I can definitely relate to his situation, his plight. And yeah, you know, like in combat, and thank God, I wasn't placed in that kind of dilemma where I saw someone that I served with cross a line, you know, really, really cross a line between what we were supposed to do and things that we're not supposed to do. But it was always there, and it was always likely that someone would see somebody get hurt or get killed and then just kind of lose it. So in that sense, I think that's what you see in the parallel on the show, where the inner circle, yeah, they may have the mutants' best interest at heart, but what they are willing to do to achieve their goals may cross that line from being the hero to the villain. And most good villains, they don't see themselves as villain. They think they're the hero in their story. So once again, there's a lot of parallels that are drawn that's relatable. And I think when you do that, when those things are present, you'll have a lot of people that's willing to tune in, even after an extended 2 or 3 week break, to see how the story is going to evolve or play out.
You speak so well about the character being in your position. You learn many things. It's not just, hey, go out, hold a gun, and do whatever. You guys are some of the smartest people in the world. You learn so many different things about what true worldly living is, and that's great.
Right.
And it's so exciting to have you as an actor now, and God only knows where you're going to go in the future. Were you sad when Stan Lee passed away? Was it a shocker on set? Was everybody just a little different?
Yeah, I was very sad, primarily because he's just a good man. He was a good man who stood by his principles, and he always upbeat, always trying to send out a positive message. And I think that's needed, especially now where it's become popular to be unpolitically correct, you know, to say the craziest thing that comes to the top of your head just because you feel like, you know what, I'm going to just say it. You know, losing Stan Lee, which he lived a full life. I'm glad that we haven't had him for as long as we had him. But yeah, it felt like I lost a family member because I grew up, you know, reading his comics. I grew up watching his cartoons where, you know, he would narrate for Spider-Man and Amazing Friends. And there was always a message that he wanted to deliver. So Stan Lee, I know that I'm a beneficiary to his craft. Like, and the generation of people that's doing what I do and that's going to follow me, they're all beneficiaries to what Stan Lee and Jack Kirby laid out through their work as illustrators and storytellers.
I always, on my shows, I tell the fans I love them, and I tell them that our universe is because of the fans, but our universe is also because of these few brave men and women that created these characters. And from these characters, people grew up and had their own imaginations and evolved. And it's just an amazing world we're in. And I'm really happy that you're in the fandom Comic-Con world doing a TV show like this, because here's the thing. The fans are diehard. They love you forever. They won't ever leave you. And I know Shatter, that character, has a lot of fans. Have you noticed your fan base growing because of this TV show?
Absolutely. You know, you look at social media and like the shows, the TV shows and movies that I've done, they were okay. You know, I'll get ones and twosies here. They'll love what I've done on whatever, but Marvel character, a comic character, somebody that's been around since 2002, definitely the fans resonated with the character. And I think they just kind of picked up on my genuine love for the character and for comics. Because look, I'm a comic geek, man. I have over 300 comics that you know, I've saved over the years since I was 12 years old, you know, packaged up in my little protectors that I've collected, that they're treasures to me, that every now and then I'll go down and I'll open them up and I'll read. You know, I like the smell of a new comic. So I think fans, they can tell when you're in it just for the paycheck or you love what you're doing. And I'm one of you guys, you know, and I can't wait to get an invite to go to a Comic-Con and shake some hands, take some pictures with the fans who love the show or love what I did with the character, and exchange ideas and just kind of talk about it, just geek out. I'm looking forward to that. So
2019 for us, we're planning a lot of Comic-Con radio meetups. We're doing some side stuff.
Okay.
And we're doing tons of different cool things with a lot of characters from different shows that we kind of support throughout the years. And we would love to have you. We'll chat about it more. I think it'll be really cool. And, the big Comic-Con events, we all go to it. We as a radio network have to go and cover the major events, yes. But it's the smaller events, the little meet and greet side shows, the little 1,000 person events that you create and bring like 10 or 15 people out. Those are the ones that we love, and we want to bring those back. We're going to start doing that this year, and I think you should be part of it because, they love you, man. They like your character. They like what you're about. And now that we've brought out your history and you're a true G.I. Joe and all these things, I know a lot of people are going to start messaging you saying, oh, my God, I didn't know that. Because a lot of people don't take the time to know who you are. They love your character, but now they do. And how does it feel that it's just going to grow from here and keep going?
Well, it feels great, and it's very refreshing to know that all prayers are answered because, I don't do things for the sake of vanity. I do things that I think will hopefully have an impact on somebody in a positive way. Service impacted a lot of people that I served with and that I trained, that I fought with in a positive way. It's, I think in life, it's not all about how much you consume, but how much you give and how much you leave behind. And ultimately, I want that to be my legacy as an actor, that someone who believed in what he did, maintained the moral high ground, did what was right, not what was easy, had fun while he was doing it, and was the kind of guy that can sit down and have a normal conversation with you, about whatever. It's a blessing to do what I do. I'm thankful. And if you guys call and you want me to be there and the schedule allows, I'm there, man. Just got to let me know in advance so I could.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you a lot.
Yeah, I'm there.
What projects do you have coming up that you want to share with us?
Well, right now, I really can't talk about it because I know that the actual production company wants to push this out through the trades. But
absolutely.
I've been, I've been attached to a film, a biopic for Darryl Strawberry. His story, the famous baseball player, read the script, fell in love with it. So that one's in the pipe. And I have a couple more that's kind of like out there that's still in development that I can't talk about prematurely. But I have a feeling that you guys probably see me again on the Coltons. Not the Coltons. You'll see the Coltons again, hopefully, on MacGyver this year. And we'll see what the Gifted does, man, because a lot of exciting stuff is happening there. But I'm staying open and flexible, and I'm excited about all the ventures that are being presented to me so far. So we'll see. You're going to have to check back with me next month because I think right now everybody's kind of getting their bearings together after the New Year's. And but it's coming. It's coming. You're going to see a lot of me. You'll see a lot of me.
We're happy to have you on the show, and we would love to have you as a recurring guest on the show. We have a few recurring guests that come on every month, and we talk about everything that's going on, and the fans love it a lot, and that because afterwards they get to interact with the fans on their own social media and things like that. And your character, Frank Colton, on MacGyver, I know it's a recurring role. I heard that it wasn't supposed to be a recurring role for the Coltons to come on the show, but because that episode did so well with Cuba Gooding Jr., yourself, and their mama, and all that.
My character, we're
that's hard.
We're a family unit. Like right now, everyone who reprised the roles as a Colton, like Cheryl Lee Ralph, who plays Mama, she reprised it from Della Reese, the late Della Reese. May she rest in peace. Billy Colton was the role that Cuba Gooding Jr. had back in the 90s, but Lance Gross, he reprised that role, and Javicia Leslie, she reprised the role of Jessie and I reprised the late Cleavon Little's role as Frank. We were a favorite back in the 90s, and it was like really close to CBS launching the Colton miniseries off of the back of MacGyver. So lightning can't strike twice. Hopefully it does, and hopefully we get a chance to have our own show. We'll see. But right now I think they're just kind of like happy with us popping in, helping out Mac and Jack and crew once or twice a year. It seems to work, but we'll see what happens.
Jermaine, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. If you guys get your own show, it would be really awesome because it's a unique show. Your family's unique. And to see you guys as like cowboys and these like renegade type of people and doing all that, it's really cool. I know you guys were reprised from the 90s MacGyver and brought them back, but I think your own series would be amazing. I think that would be so cool.
We've got great chemistry. We genuinely have fun together when we get together. And the material is so well written. What each character brings to the table is unique. So I have to agree with you. I'm not toot my own horn, but if you guys want a Colton show, you need to go ahead and hit up Peter Linkoff, the showrunner for MacGyver, or MacGyver CBS. Just start talking about it. Hashtag the Coltons, man. Colton's TV show. And we'll see what happens because we've all talked about it. We would love to see that happen. But, you know, like all things in this industry, it has a little politics and it has a little timing. So, hey, if you guys want it, you got to talk about it.
Absolutely.
You got to talk about it.
Absolutely. You know, we have a hashtag we created at Comic-Con Radio. It's called #WatchLive. And we've supported many shows. And some shows even wrote us letters saying it's because of your Watch Live promotions that our show got renewed for another season. So we're going to put the Coltons on a Watch Live kind of little system. Our social guys are really crafty. And we just had Dan Merchant on the show yesterday. He's the writer and one of the directors of Z Nation, which we love as well. And we chatted about stuff. And he's coming out with a new show called Black Summer. You should hit them up for that show. I think you would do really well for their second season. I think they already filmed the first season, but you should try that out, man. I think you would do really amazing. It's a zombie show. It's different, but it's a more serious zombie show. It's not as funny as Z Nation. I think you would do really great on that as well.
Love Z Nation. You know, the sky's the limit. And I have a great team. I have a great agent and a new manager that's been added to the team. And everybody's excited about this year. So a lot of opportunities happen. A lot of things about to be on the books. So I just have to put a bug in their ear about that one. And, you know, it's all good. It's all work. It's all about, you know, taking opportunities and making an impact, you know, when possible. So, yeah, man, sounds like a good thing to look into.
It's so good to hear that. You're a very humble gentleman. So what's your social media if you want fans to reach out to you?
On Instagram, it's Jermaine Rivers Official, all one word. And for Twitter, it's Jermaine Rivers, at Jermaine Rivers. I have a very active presence on social media. It's fun. It's upbeat. I like to interact with the fans. So it's not something that's going to be monitored or managed by somebody else. If you interact with me on Instagram or Twitter, know you're interacting with me. And I like to have fun, you know. I like to have fun on social media. Classy fun.
Classy fun, right?
Classy fun, right.
And we actually can double note that because our team reached out to you and you were gracious enough to reach out back to us, and it was you yourself. That's so amazing about you. There's a handful of people on television that does that, and keep that up no matter how sky high or skyrocket in the universe you go. Keep that up. The fans believe it, they know it, they feel it. And I know some actors and actresses that have 2 million followers and 10 million followers and they still reply. And I know it's a lot of work and I know it gets crazy because you get some crazies. We get crazies too. Trust me on that.
Oh, yeah.
But
they can come.
You know, it is, right? Well, do you have experience with some crazy things?
Yeah, you know, I have. And it's like anything, you know, you deal with it. And it, you know, it's, the block button is a very powerful tool when someone just is like, you know, that guy or that girl. But to be honest, I've had more pleasant dealings with fans than I had the one crazies. It's going to happen. It's the business, man. It's like no matter what, you're going to have that person out there, and you just have to deal with it. And don't let it affect you. Don't let it make you jaded and give you a negative perception about social media. It's a very good tool, especially when you want to reach and connect with people that either genuinely support you, genuinely love you, and they're interested in what you're doing. So you can't let the one or two bad apples ruin it for everybody. So connect with me on Jermaine Rivers Official or at Jermaine Rivers on Twitter, and I'll follow you back if you got some interesting content, and it's all good. It's all love.
That's great. You're such a humble person. We love you for that, man. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to tell the fans before we sign out?
Thanks for the love. Thanks for the support. And keep your eyes open. We're entering the new year. It's full swing, so there's going to be a lot of things that's happening. So keep me on the radar and have a blessed year. That's basically it.
That's so amazing. Well, you know what, fans? This is a time where we sign out. Jermaine's probably busy. God knows where he's going to go next after this, but we're going to do our ending, which is good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is your boy Galaxy and Jermaine Rivers signing out from another amazing episode of Comic-Con Radio, and we blow kisses out right now. Ready? 3, 2, well, to the world, a million kisses. Jermaine just kissed you guys. Shatter kissed you guys. There you go. Grab those ladies in your pockets. Actually, don't. He's married. Anyways, we're signing out. Thank you so much. Peace. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Galaxy signing out from another amazing episode of Comic-Con Radio. Tune in for your daily shows of Comic-Con Radio. Go to comiccon-radio.com. Reach us on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, at Comic-Con Radio. You can call us toll-free right now. 800-976-0305. 800-976-0305. Comic-Con Radio, taking the world one listener at a time.